All right, peace, 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 peace. Thank you for joining me for the Shabbat class, Shabbat lesson. Peace, peace, peace. And we thank the Creator for allowing us to be here this day, because without the Creator's will, we won't be here. So I thank the Creator for everything that He has done. But before I go any further, let me blow my shofar. Man, that was ugly. Let me do a better one. Now, I know it sounded like I was struggling, but I wasn't. I had to get a cough out. But we thank the Creator for His life that He has given us. Everything that He had provided for us. We thank the Creator for all sorts of blessings that He has given us, such as shelter, food, clothing, crops, a mind to be able to think. We thank the Creator for giving us the opportunity to be able to move around without even, with our strength. Some people don't have strength. So we thank the Creator for just having that, giving us that much of a mercy. And we thank the Creator for just being Himself. Ways that we have many more purpose. So we thank the Creator today to ask Him to open up our minds, our understanding, and the will of self to be able to grow, elevate, to produce the things that we need to produce for not ourselves, but for Him. He's the Creator, and we are the creation. There's nothing besides Him. There's nothing before Him. And there will be nothing come after Him. We thank the Creator for, all that He has done, did, and will do. And we thank the Creator for these encouraging words. Selah. Hallelujah. Shalom. So we thank the Creator for all that He has done, and for us coming into this Shabbat lesson. We thank the Creator for coming into the Shabbat lesson. All praises for Sister Yakana coming in. All praises for Sister Yakana coming in. So we want to make sure that we gain understanding. We got to become more solid into what we believe. You know, we can't just continue to keep saying, well, you know, I believe, but there's no fruits coming from your belief. We have to be, it doesn't make a difference for what you say you believe in. Be solid in that thing. Produce that thing. I know a lot of us, we go around, we push scripture, but we must push these laws as well. Okay? So we're going to move into the lesson, because the lesson that I had spoke on last Shabbat, which was Friday, because we had that debate on Saturday, I spoke on Cain's lineage. Okay? And Cain's lineage understood the position that it was in. All the way down to Lamech. Lamech married two females of the fallen. Now, the first thing we have to ask ourselves is, what happened when he married them? Because the word Lamech means powerful. He became powerful in what? And we're going to talk about that. One of the females, his wives had a child named Jubal. And the other one, you know, Jubal meant stream of water. I'm just kind of recapping. And Jubal was the first, he was a nomad. He was nomadic. Meaning that's the symbolic of wilderness life. Okay? See, the nomad is a member of a people having no permanent abode, meaning a place to live, and who travel from place to place. This is Jubal. He had cattle, meaning they purchased these cattle. Okay? And Jubal was the inventor of what? Instruments. This is what Jubal was. He was an inventor of instruments. Now, you got to remember, instruments are there to manipulate sound, vibrations, and frequency. This is what instruments does. Give me 1 second. So Jabal, he created instruments. And these instruments are there to manipulate sound, frequency, and energy. But Jubal was the creator of this thing. Okay. So Jubal, he was the father, the chief who laid hold of the what? The lyre and the harp. An organ meaning a musical instrument. So they were the ones who created the harp, the lyre, and the what? Musical instruments. Okay. So a harp, a lyre is a flute, like a flute. So when he created the music, what type of sound was being created? This is the thing that we have to think about. What kind of sound was Jubal was creating? Because the universe has its own sound. That's why when you listen to the whales in the ocean, a dolphin, a fish, they have their own, what is called their own sound. Okay. Listen to different birds, they have their own sound. Even when you listen to each other, we don't all speak the same. Now, I ain't talking about language that comes from your mouth. The sound of the language is different. That's a frequency, that's a vibration. So why would you need instruments? That is to manipulate the frequency. That is to manipulate the sound. That's why certain sounds in music can cause you to do what? Move your body a certain way. It can cause you to dance. Music through the instruments can cause you to smile, be sad, be angry. This is what music can do, etc., etc., etc. So now Jubal, he created these instruments. The first musical instruments that was being used was your hand. That was the first musical instruments, your hand. Because that's natural, because that's you. See, early musical instruments may have been used for rituals. See, that's what I'm telling you. Those things, it manipulates the sound. So when people use instruments, it's there to manipulate the sound energy frequency. It's not there to, and now what is the purpose for me to manipulate the sound frequency? That's control. I'm bringing control over your energy. And they show you that all throughout movies that they use, because when something about to happen, they have a certain sound. And then all of a sudden, if you think about it and you listen to that music will make you kind of like move a certain way, because they're channeling your energy and they hijacking your frequency. But a lot of us, we don't believe that. We only believe that, that's just music in the movie. No, that's music to manipulate your energy. And Jubal, Cain's son, created that. He created instruments. And early musical instruments may have been used for ritual, such as a horn to signal success on the hunt, or a drum in a religious ceremony. That's why church, they have that organ. And then the drum goes. And it just make, and if you just in the church and when they be playing that, you start patting your feet, not knowing that you patting your feet, because that's the music manipulating your energy frequency. So when you think about instruments, just think about Cain's lineage, Jubal. He the one that created the instrument. Instruments. Okay? So Lamech's second wife was Zillah. And she brought forth Tubal-Cain. Tubal-Cain brought forth, he was the first worker in metal. Okay? He was the first worker in metal. Now, I want you to think about that. The first worker in metal. Metal bending. Carving inscriptions on metal. This came from Cain's lineage. See? He was the first human, mixed human or man, because that other realm understood metal crafting. And they taught man those skills. Tubal-Cain, an instructor, means a whet, W-H-E-T, whet, means to sharpen the blade. So Tubal-Cain became very artistical and very strategic and specific at how he metal bend. He was an artificer. Artificer meaning metal crafters, meaning the art of executing artistic designs in metal. So when you see metal in people write or carve into metal, just remember in your mind that came from Cain's lineage, the lineage that Adam kicked out. He knew how to bring designs in metal, copper, or bronze, or fetter, F-E-T-T-E-R, and iron. This would happen. So Tubal-Cain was a master designer in metal and designing in brass and in making furniture, utensils, which were used for agriculture. So drawing on metal and brass and iron came from Cain's lineage. All right? And then notice what it says after that. This is in verse 22, Genesis 4:22. And it says, and his sister of Tubal-Cain was Nemar. Nemar means loveliness, and that means, and the sister of Tubal-Cain, and it says she was the sister of Tubal-Cain days before the flood. So I used to think, when I looked at that, I used to say, oh, you know what? So she was right before the flood, but then I thought about it. Hold on. That means she had to be further down the line during Noah's time, but she was way before Noah's time. So when I looked at Genesis verse 23, and it says, and Lamech said unto his wives, Adah and Zillah, hear my words, hear my voice. You wives of Lamech, hearken unto my speech. For I have slain a man by my wounding, and a young man to my hurt. So Cain was telling his wives to listen to him because he He slain a man. And who was that man he slain? Let's go to the book of Jasher, the second chapter. Let's deal with that real quick. The book of Jasher, that's Jasher. The second chapter. And let's go to the second chapter of the book of Jasher. The book of Jasher it fills in so many points with the Bible left out. And starting at verse 1, it says, and it came, and it was in the 130, the 13th year of the life of who? Adam, upon the earth. Meaning Adam was 113 years old, according to the book of Jasher. But I'm not going to get so much into the age, but I want you to hear the information. Excuse me, that he again knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare a son in his likeness and in his image, and she called his name Seth. Now, if you go to the the fourth chapter of Genesis, verse 1, it's going to tell you that Cain, no, I think it's the fourth chapter or the fifth chapter, it's one of them, that Adam had on board a son named Seth. That's in the fourth, I think that's in the fourth chapter of Genesis. Okay. And then it says, saying, because the Creator has appointed me another seed in the place of Abel, for Cain has slain him. So if you look up that word Seth, the word Seth, and we're going to get into this today, the word Seth means compensation. So pretty much what it was saying was the Creator had compensated me with Seth in the place of Abel. Okay? With Seth in the place of Abel. All right? And Seth lived 105 years and begat a son. And Seth called his name of his son Enos, saying, because in that time the sons of men began to multiply and afflict their souls and hearts by transgressing and rebelling against God, the Creator. So man began to afflict himself during the time of Enos. Now I want you to pay attention to these names. Okay. Verse 3, in the days of Enos, that the sons of men continue to, I just read that. And it says, no, I didn't. And the sons of men began to, in the days of Enos, the sons of men continue to rebel and transgress against the Creator to increase the anger of the Creator against the sons of men. So during the time of Enos, man began to what? They continue to what? Rebel and transgress against the Creator. Look what verse 4 says. And the sons of men went and they served what? Other gods. And they forgot the Creator who had created them in the earth. Now notice what it's saying, the sons of men. And they forgot about who created them in the earth. And in those days, the sons of men made images of brass and iron, wood and stone. And they bowed down and served them. So this was during the time of Enos. That man became more and more transgressors. They became more debauchery in their mind. In verse 5, and it says, and every man made his God. Notice what it says, every man made his God. and they bowed down to them, and the sons of men forsook the Creator all the days of Enos and his children. So now they're making a difference between the sons of men and the lineage of Enos. They're making a difference. There's a difference between Enos' lineage and the sons of men. And the anger of the Creator was kindled on the account of their works and abominations which they did in the earth. So when we are talking about Cain's lineage and when we are talking about Seth's lineage, those are two different lineages. Cain's lineage was an abomination before the Creator. It was a cursed lineage. And the Creator compensated Adam back. Okay? Hey, shalom, shalom, brother Devontae. Shalom, shalom. So Seth's lineage was a compensation for Abel. Now, this is where it's about to get interesting. Every man made his own God. Now, let's go back and read that again. Verse 5, and every man made his God and bowed down to him. So that means when I see this man standing next to me, he had his own God. That's on the right of me. On the man on the left of me, he has his own God. That man that's sitting behind me, he had his own God. Every man had their own God. So there was no order. There was no order in the earth at that time dealing with the sons of men. And they forsook the Creator, meaning the Creator gave mercy to the lineage of Cain. But Cain's lineage got even worse. And it says, and the anger of the Creator kindled again on the account of their works and the abomination which they did in the earth. So now the Creator's pissed. He's mad. He's angry. He's upset. He's beyond reproach. Look at verse 6. And the Creator caused the waters of the river of the Gihon to overwhelm them. So stop. Hold on. So the river of the Gihon, if I go back to the second chapter, the Gihon is a major river. That was a major river. Okay? And it says, and the Creator caused waters of the river Gihon to overwhelm them, and he destroyed and consumed them. And he destroyed the third parts of the earth. Notwithstanding this, the sons of men did not turn from their evil ways. It didn't matter how much water he brought. Now, right there, you'll say that, oh, that's the flood of Noah. No, that was the flood during Nemah's time. That was the flood during Jubal's sister's time. You see that in Genesis, the 4th chapter, verse 22. That's why it named her by name. She was the sister of Jubal before the flood. It named her by name. Why did it name her by name? Because the reason why it named her by name is because it was giving you a time period of something catastrophic happening. And what was catastrophic? The first flood, which the King James just completely leave out. Because the first thing we'll say, oh, see, that was the time doing Noah. No, it was not. That was the time doing Enos. Now, I'm going to prove my point. Just give me a second. I'm going to prove my point. That first flood came through Enos. Because the first thing you'll say, well, see, I don't read them outside books. But let's see if the outside books line up. Let's see if it lines up. Let's go back to Genesis, the 4th chapter, verse 24. Make sure y'all press the like button. As you coming in, make sure you press the like button. So, Tubal Cain went out. He went out to hunt food, and he took his father Lamech. Because remember, Lamech married 2 women of that fallen nation. Let's skip down in the 2nd chapter of Jasher. Let's start at verse 11. And Cain, no, that's Cain. Let's keep going down. Let's start at verse 26. And Lamech was old and advanced in years, and his eyes were dim. We're in the 2nd chapter of the book of Jasher, verse 26. And his eyes were dim that he could not see. And Tubal Cain, his son, was leading him. And it was one day that Lamech went into the field, and Tubal Cain and his son was with him. And whilst thou were walking in the field, Cain, the son of Adam, advanced towards them. So that means Cain, Adam's son, who was banished from his own lineage because of what he did to his brother, which was murder his brother and threw his brother in an orifice, meaning a hole, either in a well or in a lake. He began to come again. He began to come to his own 5th lineage of grandchild. He advanced towards them. Okay. And it says, for Lamech was very old. Lamech was very old and could not see much, meaning he was practically blind. And Tubal Cain, his son, was very young. Verse 27, and Tubal Cain and his father told his father to draw his bow. Now remember, he's powerful. Lamech is powerful. He's a skilled hunter. And with the arrows, he smote at Cain. He smote at Cain, who was yet far off, and he slew him, for he appeared to them to be an animal. So you mean to tell me he was that far where they couldn't see if that was their own family member? Because Lamech was blind, but not Tubal Cain. And I'm quite sure Tubal Cain had to see that there was a difference between the human and an animal. Okay. Verse 28, and the arrow entered Cain's body, although he was distanced from them. That's how precise this brother was. For he appeared to them to be an animal. And an arrow entered the body of Cain, although he was distanced from them, and he fell to the ground and he died. Now, this fulfilled the prophecy that was given to Cain from Adam. Now, I'm going to show you that in a second. And the Creator required Cain's evil according to his wickedness. That's the sevenfold. That's what Cain was afraid of, if somebody see me, or if I come upon someone, they'll kill me. Not even the mark, the inside of him holding on to his family's lineage could have helped him, because judgment had to be paid. So the Creator had required evil according to his wickedness, which he has done to his brother Abel, according to the word of the Creator, which he has spoken. So the Creator spoke this judgment against Cain, that he's going to die sevenfold. Verse 30, and it says, and it came to pass when Cain had died, that Lamech and Tubal went to see the animal which they had slain. And they slew, and behold, Cain, their grandfather, had fallen dead upon the earth. He was killed. Verse 31, and Lamech was very angry, grieved at having done this. And in clapping his hands together, he struck his son and caused his death. So not only Lamech accidentally through his son killed his great grandfather, he now killed his own son. And verse 32 says what? And the wives of Lamech heard that what Lamech has done. And they sought to what? Kill him. Why? Why did they seek to kill him? Not just because of Adam, but because of their son. And the wives of Lamech hated him from that day. They hated him from that day, because he slew Cain and Tubal-Cain. And the wives of Lamech separated from him and will not hearken to him in those days, meaning they ain't listening to him. Now you got to think about this now. They ain't paying Lamech no attention. And Lamech came to his wives and pressed them to listen to him about this matter. Now watch this. Read verse 24 in Genesis, the 4th chapter.
It says, if Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold.
That's Genesis, the 4th chapter, verse 23.
Oh, I thought you said 24. Okay, 23. And Lamech said unto his wives, Adonah and Zillah, hear my voice, ye wives of Lamech. Hearken unto my speech, for I have slain a man to my wounding, and a young man to my hurt.
Shalom, shalom, Sister Robin Adams. Shalom, shalom. Now, think about it. So why is he telling his wives to listen to him if Jasher don't line up with the Bible? They hated Lamech from that point. And it tells you they hated Lamech because not only him killing Cain, but him killing his son Tubal-Cain, their child. So now let's look at verse 34 in the 2nd chapter of the book of Jasher. And it says, Lamech came to his wives and pressed them to what? Listen to him about this matter, just what the sister had just read. And verse 35 says, and he said to his wives, Adonah and Zillah, hear my voice, O wives of Lamech. Attend to my words, for now you have imagined and said that I slew a man with my wounds, and a child with my what? Stripes. For there having done no violence, but surely know that I am old and gray-headed, and that my eyes are very heavy through age. I did this thing unknowingly. So that's what the Bible left out. That Lamech was trying to explain to his two wives that thing was an accident. That thing was an accident. That was not on purpose.
Question. Well, comment. Okay, so I guess, so he was saying that it was an accident, but the wives could only see that, okay, you killed my son and you killed Cain. So it's almost like it came full circle for what Cain did to Abel.
Correct. That is correct. It came full circle because that was the 70-fold. When Adam had pronounced that death upon Cain, he said that vengeance will be upon you 70-fold. So it came upon him.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, the way you kill your brother is going to be done to you, but it's going to be done not in the same fashion, but in a similar fashion. Meaning what? He killed his brother, his lineage killed him.
But so he got killed, and that was was it his grandson or his great grand?
You talking about Lamech, right?
Yes.
Lamech was his fifth lineage. That was Cain's fifth lineage. So that was his fifth grandson. That was his fifth gene line.
Okay.
You know, like your great grandchild.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that was that. So when Lamech was trying to get his family to listen to him, because they had turned him. They hated this brother. I mean, they literally hated him. So Lamech had to kind of come pretty strong and persuasive at what they had going on. And the wives of Lamech, this is verse 36, because Lamech say, look, I didn't know what I was doing. Look, I'm half blind. I'm old. I'm up in age. And what you think I'm precise like that? No, my son, who I accidentally killed as well, gave me the coordinates of what was taking place. And the wives of Lamech listened to him in this manner, and they returned to him with the advice of their father Adam. Now, this is going to get very interesting. That means the two wives left Lamech. They walked away from him. And they went and sought out Adam, who was still living at that time, according to the book of Jasher. Because they ain't wanted to hear nothing of Lamech, because they felt like Lamech did that on purpose. So they sought out the advice of Adam. And they returned to him with the advice of their father Adam. But they bore no children to him from that time. You see, war between male and female. Knowing that the Creator's anger was increasing in those days. So Lamech, two wives, knew how wicked the earth had to become. They knew this. They knew this. They knew this. And it says, knowing that the Creator's anger was increasing in those days against the what? Sons of men. To destroy them with the waters of the flood for their evil doings. See, Lamech, two wives understood that the wickedness of them increased it so much that the Creator could no longer witness that. Now look what 37 says. And Mahaliel, the son of Cainan, lived 65 years, and he begat Jared. And Jared lived 62 years, and he begat Enoch. Now we're getting into the Enoch story. We're getting into Enoch's story now. But let's go back to the fourth chapter of Genesis, because you got to think about it, that even though Cain, now judgment is coming to pass, that came to pass, his own fifth lineage killed him. The women that was married to the fifth lineage went to Adam to get advice, and Adam told them that, look, the brother, you got to go back, you can't, blah, 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 blah. But just take note that the Creator is going to bring judgment upon this earth. All right. Let's go to Genesis. Let's jump back over to Genesis, the fourth chapter, and let's start at verse 21. This is verse, this part 21, verse 24, excuse me. Genesis, the fourth chapter, verse 24. Because Jubal was Namar's sister. And it says she was before the flood. What flood is they talking about? The flood of the Gihon. Now, watch this. Let's go to Genesis, the second chapter, and let's start at verse 13. Says, read that real quick. I can't hear you. You talking away from the mic.
Okay, it went back on mute. Okay, verse 13. And the name of the second river is Gihon. The same is it that compasses the whole land of Ethiopia.
So the Gihon River, it compassed the whole land of Ethiopia. Now, the Ethiopia River, the first thing we'll say is that's the river that's over there in Africa. That's the country that's over in Africa. It's not. Notice what it says. The Gihon River compassed the whole land of Ethiopia, or Ethiopia, or Ethiopia. It compassed the whole land. That means there was a landmass called Ethiopia, or Ethiopia. And was that Africa? No. That was South America. South America was called Ethiopia, the burnt faces. Just type in, because this like I say, this is my closet computer. I can't share my screen like I really want to. But if you type in on your phone, you could Google it. South America with the Ethiopian emblem. And then go to the images and look at the map, where it's gonna show you that the Ethiopia was called South America. And the Gihon River is the Atlantic Ocean. It compasses the whole land. And this was before the flood. Namar was before the first flood. Namar was the beginning of the days before the flood, meaning the flood that started before Noah. Now, watch this. Let's go back to the book of Jasher, the second chapter. Let's go back to the book of Jasher, the second chapter. Now let's go back up to the beginning. Let's start at verse, Jasher is spelled Jasher. Jasher. You could Google that and you can pull it up. It's the book of Jasher, the sacred text. And we can start at verse 2, sis.
Verse. Okay. You said Genesis.
Jasher, Jasher, Jasher.
I don't
The
have.
book of Jasher.
Hold on, I can't pull it up on my phone. It's gonna knock me off.
I got it.
Let me get my laptop.
It says she lived 100, and Seth lived 105 years and beget a son. And Seth called his name. Seth called the name of his son Enos. That's the first child that came from Seth. He was the first. Enos was the first patriarch from Seth. Okay. His name was called Enos, saying, because at this time the sons of men began to multiply and afflict their souls and minds by transgressing and rebelling against the Creator. Who is the sons of men? That was Cain's lineage. That was Cain's lineage. They rebelled against the Creator. I told y'all, I already went over in previous lessons of what Cain's sons mean. What the names of his sons' meanings are. And verse 3 says, and in those days of Enos, that the sons of men continued to rebel and transgressing against the Creator. Why is it particularly saying Enos? Because during that time, Enos was the patriarch. Enos was the patriarch. What is the patriarch? What is the patriarch? Patriarch just simply means a prophet or a judge. He was the one that came through speaking, trying to bring order back to the earth. But because they didn't want to hear him. And the question is, you got to ask yourself is why Cain's lineage didn't want to hear the Creator? Because Cain's lineage was angry at the Creator. It was angry at his own family because they put him out because of what he did by killing Abel. But that did not stop the Creator for trying to reach out to his lineage to allow them to live according to law, Torah. And that's why it says, in the days of Enos, the sons of men continued to rebel and transgress against the Creator to increase the anger of the Creator against the sons of men. They didn't give a dog. They didn't care. They didn't have a care in their body. They just continued to do the things that they were doing. And that's why verse 4 says, and the sons of men went and they served other gods. They didn't want to serve the Creator because of what happened. And they forgot the Creator who made them. They forgot about who created them. Because in Methusiel, his name means smitten by God, and Methusiel means who is God on Cain's son's lineage side. Why did it say who is God? Because now he became God. That's why he forgot about who created him. Because he looked at himself as God. I was thrown out on my behind by my family because I murdered my brother. And now all of a sudden I have to survive, and I survived. Now look at me now. I don't need the Creator. I am the Creator because I created what was around me. And look how prosperous my lineage become. We created music. We carved on metal, iron, ore, fleet, copper, brass. My children they created instruments. We learn how to live in tents and not stay in one place. We learn not to get comfortable. Look how prosperous and great my people become. So they say they became God. He became God. We became God. This is what the Cain's lineage was saying. And Seth's lineage was trying to bring Cain's lineage back into fold. They went to serve other creators. It says lords who had created and forgot about the creator who created them in the earth. Not in the heavens, but in the earth. They forgot about that. That's like what we do today. We forget about the creator. Some of us, we don't even take time out just for about 3 minutes to just thank the creator for breath. We don't even thank the creator for having for strength. Just a minute. Thank you. We don't even thank the creator for a minute. We could drive from point A to point B and we don't even say nothing about it. We don't even say thank you to the creator once when we make it, we move, and we go through. All that hell we go through on highways, byways, streets, sideways, and all that. But then when we get there, we get out and we'll cuss at the people who done cut us off. We'll cuss at the people who done slowed us down and blah, blah, blah. But we won't thank the creator that we made it. We can have a house full of food and won't even thank the creator for it. We can have the finest clothes on our back and won't even thank the creator for it. We won't. We don't. That's just what some people do. We wake up every day, man, damn this job. But you don't thank the creator for giving you a job just for you to be able to survive under this oppression. Just letting the enemy having compassion to give you to be able to have a job. I'm not saying that, this and that, saying that we can't do things for ourselves, because we should do things for ourselves. But in the meantime, in between time, you need something to survive. You should thank the creator for whatever you got, especially if it's legal. Women that come through childbirth, how many times y'all thought you thank the creator for even having childbirth? After childbirth, doing childbirth. How many of you do that? We don't do that. Because you know why? Because we just like Cain's lineage. We become more wickeder and wickeder and wickeder. I'm not saying all, but I'm just telling you that's what the majority of us do. And we make things out of gods. We begin to make these things our gods. And they forgot about the one who created them in the earth. And in those days, the sons of men made images of what? Brass and iron, wood and stone, and they bowed down to serve them. This is what they were doing. Some of us worship our car, house. We worship all these things. We make these things greater than the creator who gave us these things to be able to use these things for our pleasure while we're here. We don't do that. We just forget about the creator. And it says, and every man made his God, and he bowed down to them, and the sons of men forsook the creator all the days of who? Enos and his children. So that's telling you that the sons of men were not Adam's seed line. That was Cain's seed line. Enos was trying to bring them back into the fold, not mixing with them, but pretty much just putting them in a place where it's that the creator can continue to what? Have mercy on that lineage. And it says, and the children and his children, and the anger of the creator was kindled on the account of their works and abomination which they did in the earth. Meaning that what Cain's side was doing, brought anger to the creator. That's what happened. Brought anger to the creator. And the creator caused the waters of the river Gihon to overwhelm them, meaning the Atlantic. Now, don't think of the Atlantic like you see it today, because it was not that big. But it was enough water to overwhelm South America. And he destroyed and consumed them and destroyed the third part of the earth. Now, what is a third part? How much is a third part? That's my question. How much is the third part? How much is a third part? That's my question. How much is a third? A third from 100 is what? A third from 100 is what? A third from 100. So a third from 100 is like 3%. So if you look at 3% of something, that wasn't that big. But could you imagine how many people were in that area? And that's why it says, and he destroyed a third part of the earth, meaning 3% of the earth. He destroyed 3% of the earth with the Gihon River. 3%. Only 3% of the earth at that time. And when he destroyed 3% of the earth, and notwithstanding this, the sons of men did not turn from their evil ways. They still did not stop. It's like even after that small flood, like we see a tornado. Why do you think you're seeing, we just don't become immune to tornadoes? Even when tornadoes pop up in different areas that it never happened before. Floods that never flooded out before. And we'll look at that and we'll be sad. But then the moment we clean up and move on, we done forgot about the flood. We just return back to our wickedness. So Cain lineage did not turn away from their wicked ways. And their hands were what? Yet extended to do evil in the sight of the Creator. They didn't care what the Creator did. They was going to do what they wanted to do. And that's what we do. We don't pay attention to anything taking place. Even when the Creator is sending a warning of judgment, man, guess what? After that warning is over, we're going right back to what we've been doing. But notice it says in the second chapter of Jasher that they afflicted their souls. Now let's look at the afflicted. Let's go to Leviticus, the 16th chapter. Let's go there real quick. Leviticus 16, the 16th chapter, verse 29 through 31. Leviticus, the 16th chapter, 29 through 31. And this is what it says. And this shall be a statute forever unto you, that the seventh month, on the 10th day of the month, you shall afflict your souls. Now, this is a law. This is a law. This is a law to afflict your soul. And you got to understand, when you afflict your soul, what are you doing? And do no work at all, whether it be one of your own country or a stranger that sojourneth among you. So on the day of atonement, when you're afflicting your soul, that means you're on a fast, F-A-S-T. And on that fast day, because atonement is coming up, on that day of atonement, you do not supposed to do any work. Not even people who don't believe, but if they come up in your position of a perimeter, you don't supposed to allow work to even go amongst you, even at that time. So we have to pay attention to this. Verse 30, and it says, for on that day shall the priest make an atonement for you to cleanse you, that you may be clean from all of your sins before the Creator. This is when they was doing sacrifice. This is when they was doing sacrifice. Now I'm bringing this out for a reason. See, the priest's supposed to make sure that you're clean. They're the ones who pronounce that you're clean after when you afflicted your soul. Does that mean that you got rid of your sin? No. That doesn't mean that you got rid of your sin. He's only pronouncing what he knew what you've done to bring to the temple. That's it. But the real priest is the head of the house, because they know their house better than an actual Levitical priest. So let's think about it. Let's keep going.
So,
Verse
okay.
31.
Yeah. So I got question. So what if you have somebody who feels like, well, if I don't have a head in my house, but just say, for instance, if I go to church, my bishop, my elder, preacher, or so forth, what if they feel like they consider that person their head, but then for those who acknowledge Jesus, they figure that Jesus is their head if they don't have a head, and even if they do have a head. So how does all that play, into effect for somebody who believes that or don't believe that?
Okay, now my next question, my question would be to that is that person living on the streets or are they in the house? In a house.
Well, just say, for instance, if they're in a house.
That means they are the head of their house.
But how would you get somebody to actually? I hear what it says in Torah, but how would you actually get somebody to believe that if they feel, well, how can I be the head of my house if I go to a temple, a church, or synagogue, whatever you want to say? If that makes sense, what I'm asking.
No, that makes plenty of sense. Let's go to Leviticus, the first chapter. Let's go to Leviticus, the first chapter, and let's start at verse 1. No, that makes plenty of sense. That's a very good question. And I want you to read it. Start at verse 1.
Okay, it says, and the Most High called unto Moses and spake unto him out of the tabernacle of the congregation, saying, speak. Oh, keep going.
Keep going.
Okay, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, if any man of you bring an offering unto the Most High, ye shall bring your offering of the cattle, even of the herd and of the flock.
Okay, but now who's bringing the offering? The priest?
It said, if any man of you.
Okay, so who is the man?
Isn't it that individual?
Yeah, where they coming from?
They're home, right?
They're coming from their home. So each head of the house, read that again and put the head of the house there.
Talking about two?
Yeah, read that verse again and put the head of the house right there.
Okay, speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, if the head of the house bring an offering unto the Most High, ye shall bring your offering of the cattle, even of the herd and of the flock.
Now, when it says, so the head of the house is the one who picks the cattle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about in a minute. So they have to pick what animal they want to sacrifice. All right, keep going.
If his offering be a burnt sacrifice of the herd.
Notice what it says, if his offering be a burnt sacrifice, because they didn't always have a burnt sacrifice offering. You follow me?
Okay.
So they had to come to a point. They had to come to a point of what kind of offering they are offering. You follow me? You follow me so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
Let him offer a male without blemish. He shall offer it of his own voluntary will.
So
At,
stop. He got to learn, he got to bring a male that he groomed to be perfect, to have no kind of diseases, to have no defects. You follow me so far, right?
yes.
And it says, and he have to do it. What now? His what?
Voluntary will.
What that mean? What volunteer will is?
I mean, he has to be sincere when he brings that offering.
That's what volunteer means, sincere?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, voluntary means that you have to do it of your own free will. Nobody
That means
is.
you have to want to do it. You have to see a need to do it, correct?
Okay.
All right. So the head of the house has to be the one who sees the need to bring forth that offering. Are you following me?
Okay.
All right. Watch this. He have to be the one that brings that offering. So if a person, let's say a female lives by herself, who is her head?
Her father, if he's still living, right?
It'd be her father. But let's say her father's dead. Who would be her head?
Isn't the next male or her priest?
And the next male would be who?
Whether it be a uncle or
It would be like an uncle. But notice what the scriptures told Israel, that if a person don't have a lamb or have not enough lamb, what they supposed to do?
Mm.
They supposed to go where? Where do they supposed to go?
Oh, to the storehouse, right?
No, not the storehouse. They supposed to go to their neighbor.
Oh, okay.
Because the neighbor will share they will share their sacrifice with them.
Okay.
See, that's when it goes from house to house. And then when that person goes to the neighbor and the neighbor has enough, they're supposed to share. So the man next door, if it's a female by herself, the male next door supposed to help her with that sacrifice and help her take that sacrifice to the priest.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? The pastor has nothing to do with your house.
Okay.
The priest has nothing to do with your house. That's the reason why the head of the house are the priesthood. Before Israel messed up and the Creator just put in a Levitical priesthood for a period of time. And the priesthood were supposed to be the mediators. Let's go back to the story. Remember who the Creator dealt with during Abraham's time about his house? Was it Jesus or was it Abraham?
Abraham.
Okay. So if he was dealing with Abraham for circumcision, why is he not dealing with the head of the houses now?
Well, I mean, if you look at both ways, I mean, technically, according to Torah, I mean, it's not supposed to be anything new under the sun. So we're supposed to be continuing to do that. But for those who are in the New Testament, they will say that when Christ was sacrificed, he became the sacrificial lamb. So he's taken over all their sins and everything. But if you go back to Genesis, I can't think of the scripture now, but where it says that we each have to atone for our own sins. We have to answer for ourselves.
Okay, I'm listening.
Oh, so I mean, I was just saying that to say because I just thinking back from yesterday, just about how it's just a difference of thought process and of what we believe according to Torah and according to what's in the New Testament.
Say it again now.
No, I was just saying, about those who believe according to Torah and those who believe according to the New Testament.
Right, but your New Testament cannot surpass Torah. It
Mm-hmm.
cannot. It has to go according to the law. And the one who was over the law was the priesthood.
Mm-hmm.
And the priesthood, the Levitical priesthood, was only over the temple, the house of the Creator, the what you call it, the curtains. That's what's the priesthood's boundaries. They had nothing to do with your house. The house boundaries was the head of the house. But it had to be the head of the house was the one who was supposed to bring forth, pick out, and etc. the sacrifice to be able to bring it to the temple. You follow me?
Yes.
Okay. So during that time, during Cain's time, they were bypassing all of that. The head of the house, they didn't care. They were just wicked. They didn't want to afflict nothing. They afflict their soul on the back end. See, I'm reading the law about how they afflicted their soul. I'm reading the law. And they read the law. I'm reading the law. I'm reading the law on what Israel had to do to afflict their souls. And how they afflict their soul was fasting. Remove themselves from the things that caused them to not acknowledge the Creator. And that's why verse 31 says, "And it shall be a Sabbath of rest unto you." When you afflict your soul, it's supposed to be a Sabbath. And you shall afflict your souls by a statute forever. See? Are you hearing that?
Yes, I'm hearing it.
So when you afflict your soul, you're afflicting your soul by removing the things that causes you to forget about the Creator, according to Torah law. Now let's go to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. Leviticus 23, 26 through 32.
And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, and a holy convocation.
So the blowing of the trumpets feast day is coming up as well. That's another holiday that's coming up. Atonement, trumpets, and it's another one. And then we'll pause, and then we will, in October, we will go into tabernacles. That's right. Go ahead, because there's 4 more holidays coming up. But go ahead.
25. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High.
That's grilling. We're supposed to grill. Go ahead.
And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, Also on the 10th day of this 10th month there shall be a day of atonement.
The atonement that's afflicting you. Atonement. Go ahead.
It shall be a holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High.
Go ahead.
And ye shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Most High your Creator.
Mm-hmm.
For whoever soul it be that shall be, I'm sorry, for whosoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in the same day, he shall be cut off from among his people.
So you see, the Creator is telling you that your soul must be afflicted at a certain time of the year. But remember now, in the book of Jasher, the second chapter, Cain's lineage is afflicting their soul, but moving away from the Creator. Go ahead.
And whosoever soul it be that doeth any work in that same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people.
So there's a certain way you have to afflict your soul. You can't do work. Everything has to be lined up by the book. There's no servile work that should be done. Go ahead. We read down to verse 32.
Ye shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generation in all your dwellings. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls in the 9th day of the month at evening, from evening until evening, shall ye celebrate your Sabbath.
Uh-oh. So from evening to evening, you supposed to celebrate your Sabbath.
So that kind of answers the question about what we're talking about on that post.
That's why that's why I say you really don't want this. You really don't want this. You really don't want it. But this is when you afflict your soul. You afflict your soul by remembering the Creator and lining yourself up with the Creator. This is what Cain's lineage were not doing. They were not doing this. All right. Look at the word. I want you to Google the word Anah. A-N-A-H. Anah. Type in the word Anah. A-N-A-H. And tell me what you get.
Anah, one who answers, the son of Zebon and the father of Vamah, one of Esau's wives, Genesis 36, 2, 14 and 25. He is supposed to have discovered the hot springs.
Okay.
There's another one.
No, just type in Anah definition. And what you get?
Pulling up now. Anah meaning uncertain, a Horite clan name. Again, it says he's supposed to discover the hot springs.
Right. You'll see where it says in the biblical names, the meaning of the name Anah is one who answers and afflicted.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Meaning task, affliction, correspond, be busy with, afflict, or sing.
Right. So that's what Cain's people were doing. They were anah. They were afflicting themselves. But let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's get a couple more scriptures. Let's go to Ezra, the 8th chapter, verse 27. Ezra 8 and 27. Because we got to realize that the Creator told Israel to afflict themselves, but during the time before the first flood, Cain's lineage were afflicting themselves. So we don't want to mix up, we don't want to mix up apple and oranges. Okay. Cain lineage was doing the very opposite that the Creator told Israel to do. I want you to pay attention to that. But that's why I'm bringing this out. Go ahead. What you got? Ezra, the 8th chapter, verse 27.
Also 20 as Ezra, Ezra,
Yeah.
8th chapter, 27.
27. Yes.
Also 20 basins of gold of 1,000 drams and 2 vessels of fine copper, precious as gold.
You got Ezra 8:27.
Yes.
Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. Okay, I got the wrong. I called it wrong. Well, let's keep moving. I wrote down the wrong verse, chapter and verse. Let's go to Psalms 35:13. Psalms 35:13. Psalms 35 and verse 13.
Okay. It says, the Creator shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. Is that it?
Psalms 35:13.
Oh gosh. This thing here. I got the wrong one. But as for me, when they were sick, my clothing was sackcloth. I humbled my soul with fasting, and my prayer returned into my own bosom.
See? So he humbled himself with what? Fasting. He afflicted his soul at that time. Let's go to Isaiah 58, verse 3 and 5. He put himself to fast.
Wherefore, when we fasted, say they, and thou seest not. Wherefore wherefore have we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge? Behold, in the day of your fast ye find pleasure and exact all your labors. Behold, ye fast for strife and debate, and to smile with the fist of wickedness. Ye shall not fast as ye do this day, to make your voice to be heard on high. Is it such a fast that I have chosen, a day for a man to afflict his soul? Is it to bow down his head as a bulrush, and to
What verse you
spread,
on?
okay, bushroom,
No,
and
what
to,
verse you on?
oh, 5,
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him? Wilt thou call this a fast and an acceptable day to the Creator?
So you see what he's saying? A lot of them fasted for what reason?
Strife, debate, I
And
guess
notice, go ahead
for
and notice what it
personal.
says underneath that. And to what? To
Um,
strike with fists of wickedness.
so it's for their own desires.
It's for their own desires. A lot of people afflict themselves for their own desires. And that's what Cain lineage was doing. They were afflicting themselves with for their own desires. And that's what pulled the creator away from them.
But aren't we supposed to be doing the opposite?
Correct. We're supposed to be striving for the desires of the creator. Not the desires of ourselves.
Well, that's why it's such a separation in Israel now because, wow.
So this was going on from the beginning. This was going on from the beginning. See, but the rebellion was against the creator during Cain's time. And it was against the creator's seed that he chose. Meaning they were going against the land, they was going against the sound frequency, and et cetera, meaning the creation of the creator. They were changing the very nature of what they knew to be righteous. This is what Cain's lineage was doing. And the thing that they were changing, they didn't give a who cares of what they thought. They didn't care. So that's why it says that Namah was before the flood, meaning the first flood, which flood a third of the earth, meaning 3% of the earth. And notice what they say. They were transgressing. Transgressing means to go beyond limits set or prescribed by. They went beyond the limits of what they were supposed to have been doing. They didn't care. They was trying to do things according to their pleasure. They didn't care rather not if that was a part of their purpose. They were supposed to experience that. They didn't care. They wanted to realize the desires within themselves. Notice what it says. They were transgressing and rebelling. Rebelling means opposition to one in authority or dominance. So they was going against the one that was in authority and who had the dominance. They didn't care about them. They wanted to do as thy will. So if we go back to Genesis, the 4th chapter, verse 24, let's pick it up from right there. And it says, if Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly 70, and sevenfold, truly 7 and 70-folds. So it says if means, that word if means because or certainty. The eldest son of Adam and Eve is to be punished. Sevenfold means 7 times, or variant, meaning a form or version of something differ in the same respect from the other forms of the same thing or form of or standard. So Cain was to be punished differently, but in the same manner in how he did it. So Cain would be killed in the same respect like his brother was killed, but the methods would be different. How? Because Lamech, his 5th grandchild, killed him when Cain killed his brother, which is first generation. It says the fifth descendant of Cain, 73 scores and 10. In combination, meaning this is how he was to be punished. So Cain was going to be punished. He was not getting out of that punishment. See, a lot of us thinking that the things that we've done, or we're not going to be punished because time went by. Cain died in an old age, and he died. How did he die? A spear going through his soul, his body. Could you imagine that? You done got up into age and you thought that everything was cool, and now here it is. Your judgment is coming straight to you in old age. Pay attention to that. Your judgment coming to you in old age. Meaning this joker couldn't even leave until he was punished the way he killed his brother. He couldn't even leave until he was punished the same way he killed his brother. Let's go to Proverbs, the 20th chapter, verse 22. Let's read that, and then we're gonna read like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna read six scripts, and then we're gonna jump down to verse 25. Proverbs 20 and 22. Let me pull it up. I'm gonna read it. And this is what it says. Proverbs 20 and 22.
I got it. 20 and 22. It says, "Say not thou, I will recompense evil, but wait on the Lord, and he shall save thee."
So what that mean? What that mean, sis?
Meaning that whatever, it's almost like you're going to reap what you sow. Whatever deed you did, you're going to see that again.
Mm-hmm.
So just like you were saying, Cain probably said he know what his judgment was, but he was like, shoot, I'm old now. He probably thought that he got away with it when he didn't. So you don't know when it's going to come or how, but it's going to come.
That's right. Let's go to Proverbs 24 and 29.
Say not, I will do so to him as he have done to me. I will render to the man according to his work.
So what that's saying?
I guess it's the same type of judgment. I will render to the man according to his work. I guess so whatever you've done, that's what you're going to be accountable for.
That's right. Whatever you do, that's what you're going to be held accountable for. That's what you're going to be held accountable for. You see that? You see that, right?
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. So Cain wasn't going to escape the punishment. He was not going to escape the punishment. He couldn't. Because it was already rendered onto him. Let's go to Deuteronomy 32, Deuteronomy 32:35. Excuse me. Deuteronomy 32:35.
To me belongeth vengeance and recompense. Excuse me,
Recompense,
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 recompense. Hmm.
recompense. Their foot shall slide in due time, for the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things that shall come upon them make haste.
What do you mean by that?
Just meaning that, like the scripture said, vengeance is the saith the Most High. So that means, regardless, you're going to have to um you're going to have to stand for any calamities or anything that you have done. Um, it said, like I said, their foot shall slide in the due time, meaning that you may feel that you've gotten away with it because it may not happen that next day, that next month, that next year, but it's going to happen. So you actually have not gotten away with anything.
Hmm. That's right. You ain't got away with nothing.
And I mean, like I said, you can repent himself, but you still have to be held accountable for that, regardless of your repentance.
That's right.
And I
So a lot
think
of go ahead, go ahead, go
I
ahead,
was
go
gonna
ahead.
say, and I think that's why a lot of times that I guess we feel, or a lot of people may think that, well, if I can believe that someone came and they died for my sins, or if I can believe that, you know all my sins have been forgiven, then I can just do whatever I want and ask for forgiveness. But there's going to always be repercussions for that, and I think a lot of times we fail to remember that. And I
Right.
guess when things happen, it's like, well, why is this happening to me? But I guess we've all have said that. But if we actually took accountability for some things that we've done, maybe in ignorance or maybe intentionally, but we've done it, and it's like you have to pay the piper. You're gonna have to see that again. You're gonna have to make amends for that, and just hope that you have a chance to do so before death. You know what I mean?
That's
So
right. That's right. That's why we supposed to clear up the plate
yeah,
before even before you get old. You're supposed to clear up the plate. Clear the plate up when you know you did wrong. Clear it up because a lot of that stuff is coming back, and it depends on how much you ignored it. Is how hard that thing is coming.
right.
Let's go to Proverbs 19:11.
Proverbs 19:11. The discretion of a man deferreth his anger, and it is his glory to pass over a transgression.
What I mean?
Mm, The discretion of a man deferreth his anger. What means that he tries to ignore his anger, or he doesn't own up to it, so it starts eating at him.
Okay, read it again.
I don't know. The discretion of a man deferreth his anger, and it is his glory to pass over a transgression.
That's so it's saying right. He's going to ignore what is taking place, but he's going to ignore it. How? He's not going to want to see himself.
So denial.
He's in denial. He's in denial. He's going to walk past. It's like you walking past yourself when a lot of us don't like to take accountability.
Mm-mm. Well, a lot of people don't want to admit when they're wrong. That's just
Correct.
pride.
Correct. So when we don't like to take accountability, then we walk over, brush over the things that we supposed to be paying attention to and to remove from us. But a lot of us, because we don't take accountability, we don't become responsible for our own accountabilities and things that we caused. We end up afflicting others into our own affliction. And that's what brings judgment. Proverbs 11:3.
The integrity of the upright shall guide them, but the perverseness of transgressors shall destroy them.
So that means what?
I guess if a person owns up to their mistakes, that means they have integrity. But those who don't care or they're kind of smug with it, um, that transgression shall destroy them.
Right. You're going to overlook the very nature of you. And that's why a lot of people are destroyed. They get destroyed. That's the reason why the Creator sent that flood, that flooded a third part of the earth. Why? It's because they were wicked. They was out of the box. And even that little small flood didn't deter them from what they were, the wickedness that they were. That didn't deter them. That did not deter them. They didn't care about that first flood. And that's why a lot of us, I said a few minutes ago earlier, we could see tornadoes come up in different areas, and after we done got back and everything is normal, we forget about the Creator. We go right back to our wickedness. You see what I'm saying? We forget about the Creator. We don't care nothing about the Creator, and Cain's lineage didn't care anything about the Creator. Last scripture, we're going to move on to verse 25 of the 4th chapter. Psalms 37, verse 8. We didn't care, we don't care. We're going to read verse 8 and 9. It's supposed to be 8 and 9.
Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil, for evildoers shall be cut off. But those that wait upon the Creator, they shall inherit the earth.
So what that's saying?
Means not to give into your anger, or what is the scripture? It says, it's almost like if you're angry, but don't sin in the midst of that anger, just to deal with it or to cease from it.
What it means to forsake wrath. Forsake wrath. What wrath are they talking about?
No. Forsake, what that means, to quit or leave entirely, to desert or abandon, to depart or withdraw from it.
Right. What are you withdrawing? What kind of wrath are you withdrawing from?
The one that will make you sin.
Right. The one that causes you to walk away from the Creator. Then it says, fret not thyself in any wise to do evil. So that's saying what? It's telling you don't allow evil thoughts to even enter your mind if you can. Don't care how it look, what it sound like, what it is like, it don't matter. Do not allow it to enter your mind. Negative thoughts. Because those negative thoughts are going to bring in negative experience. We don't want to tie and lock ourselves into negative experience if we can help it. That's what that's saying. And it says, for evil doers shall be cut off. Meaning you're going to be judged. You took on experience that you didn't supposed to take part in. That's what's going to cut you off. Then it says what? But those that wait upon the Creator, they shall inherit the earth. They the ones who are going to inherit the kingdom, the earth. They're the ones that's going to be able to return back to the Creator. It's those who wait. Wait don't mean sit still, means that they're doing what they're supposed to do. You understand that, sis?
Yes.
Any questions so far?
No, I don't have any more.
All right, let's go to Genesis, the 4th chapter, verse 25. Genesis, the 4th chapter, verse 25. And notice what it says. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son and called his name Seth. Now we getting into Seth's lineage. For the Creator said, she shall, and for Seth, for the Creator said, she has appointed me another seed. And Abel, whom Cain slew. Okay, let's look at verse 25. And it says, and the word and means to perceive and see, to find out and discern. So he's telling Adam to go and find. He said, listen, perceive and see. Look at this thing and watch it. This is what he's telling Adam, the first man. To know by experience. New means to know by experience. Wife, his wife means a female, it means female or woman. He know this female. He knew her by experience. That's why I told you. There's supposed to be experiences you gravitate on this earth while you're here. Certain things that we experience, we don't supposed to have in our bag. But it's just so happening that when we die, we're going to have that experience. So we're going to have to answer for those experiences that we have in our bag that the Creator did authorize us to have. So his wife, meaning his wife or the female, again, meaning still, yet, of continuous and persistent, And she bare, meaning to bring forth a son. That word son means a member of a group. So he's not just going out, just going to get anybody. He's going to get a member of a group. He's producing his offline. And the word and call means to proclaim. His name means the reputation, fame, or glory. He's going to pertain the reputation. He's going to have a particular reputation. Why? Because. That word for means because. God means the ruler, judge, or divine ones. That word said she, that word is not even there in the actual text. has appointed. So the divine rulers and judges had appointed means to lay hands upon. See, the divine rulers and judges are the elders of the nation of Adam. They laid their hands upon me. Who is me? The first person. Who was that first person? Adam. They laid their hands upon Adam. And it says another, meaning different. Once when they anointed Adam, he's bringing forth another seed, meaning offspring. Meaning the idea of power and virtue, assurance and maturity, certitude and dominance. This would, when the elders laid their hands upon Adam, he now can produce this type of seed. And that word instead means to for the sake of being burdened or oppressed. So this seed that Adam is going to bring forth, he's going to have to get past being oppressed and being what? Burdened. Of Abel, because why? Abel was his son, and you got to see if a lot of people haven't yet lost a child by being murdered, we don't know what that feels like. We don't know what it feels like. We don't know. We don't know. So this seed has to get beyond that of Abel, the second son of Adam. They have to get, this seed has to be, it has to go beyond the realm of Adam. I mean, of Abel. Whom, meaning the word surely. Cain, meaning the elder son of Adam and Eve. Slew means to smite with a deadly intent, meaning he meant to kill Abel. So Seth was to take the place of Abel, who was killed by Cain, in order for the nation to move forward and have hope. Because sometimes when you lose your upcoming leader, it could cause things to be stagnated. This is why Seth was mentioned only to move the nation forward. That was it. That was it. Let's go to verse 25. I mean 26, excuse me. And this is what it says. Go ahead.
And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began men to call upon the name of the Creator.
Now, look up the word Seth and tell me what the meaning of the word Seth means. Because Seth was given in the position for Abel. He's taken the place of Abel. Seth is not, he didn't just mention Seth for the heck of it. He's mentioning Seth because Seth is taking the position of Abel. So what do the name Seth means? Did you get it?
My computer's going slow. Seth, man. It says an evil. Can't be.
The name Seth, what it means?
A son of Adam and Eve.
Yeah, what do his name mean?
Anointed compensation.
Compensation. What is compensation?
Like payment for something.
So Seth was a payment to Adam. The Creator allows Seth, he allowed Adam to be compensated, paid in the place of Abel. So Seth was not just there just for the heck of it. He was the compensation for Abel. So in other words, now Adam can now move forward because he has someone that will compensate in the place of Abel, who was the third son of Adam and Eve. So the compensation for Adam and Eve, resuming subject, meaning to him, meaning resuming subject with emphasis. Who is the resuming subject? Seth. Also means moreover, there were born, meaning to bear, bring forth, or beget. A son, meaning a child or a member of a group. And he was called, meaning you need to proclaim this person, the reputation. That's the word name, means the reputation, Enos. What do Enos mean? E-N-O-S. What do the word Enos means, or Enos? It means man, M-A-N. Why is his name man? Why do his name mean man? Seth brought forth Enos or Enos to continue the lineage of man, meaning Adam's lineage. Adam's lineage were the man.
Yeah, it says the man, son of Seth, and grandson of Adam.
That's right. He's bringing a separation. This is a part of the war that was going on even when the garden fell. What was that war? The separation between man and man. Because there's two types of men on the earth now. Because Cain killed Abel. Cain got banished. Cain went up among the fallen nation and he began to mix and mingle, and he began to marry into those lineages. And now the Creator has compensated Adam one more time because of what happened to Abel. And what happened when he allowed Adam to produce another child, which was Seth. As Seth got older, he produced his next seed line of leadership, and that leader was Enos, which means man. So you have two different types of men on the earth now. It's really three. You got the fallen seed, you got Cain, and then now you have Seth. You follow that so far, sis, right? Or you lost? So you have three different types of men on the earth. Three. Seth, Cain, and that fallen nation that fell in Genesis 1 and 2. That's why Enos' name means man. Then it says then, meaning at that time, a temporal expression, meaning a sequence of tokens such as words, numbers, and characters that denote time, that express a point in time, a duration or a frequency. So we're talking about a frequency of, we're talking about a duration of a frequency. So after Cain and Abel, or the nation of Adam, fell, and the situation happened in between Cain and Abel, and now the Creator, over duration of time, is now bringing forth compensation for Adam in order for the nation to move forward, which was Seth, means compensation. And Seth, as he got older, he produced Enos or Enos, which means man. Meaning he's supposed to bring a difference between what's out there compared to what they have. Meaning the lineage. He's supposed to have kept it separate. Then it says, then began man. And that word began means to be what? To profile, defile, pollute, desecrate, or begin. During that time of during that time of Enos, people began to desecrate, defile themselves. We just went over that in the 2nd chapter of Jasher. Because what were they doing? They were doing what? They were what? Afflicting themselves. They were transgressing the actual law of the Creator. That's what they were doing. They began to make gods for themselves. This is what they were doing. So men began to they began to profane, defile, pollute, desecrate. And they began to profane, defile, to summon. That's what the word call means, to invite. To summon or call or invite. The name means the designate as designation of God. What is a designation? What does that word designation means?
Designation is, I'm looking it up, but it kind of means like a particular place. Destination means
Not destination, designation. DESIG, nation.
Oh, designation. Okay.
What does designation mean? Because this is what was going on during the time of Enos.
The choosing and naming of someone to be the holder or of an official position. An act of indicating and identifying.
So what's taking place? They profane, defile, pollute, desecrated. That's when it says began man. To call, meaning to summon, invite, or call for, commission. So what's taking place? So while they were defiled and polluted, they began to summon, invite, to call for the name that was chose. The name that was what? They began to choose a name for the Creator. They gave him a title. They began to give titles for the Creator, in place of the Creator. They designated names. They designated powers. This is what they were doing. This is what they were doing, family. What if somebody designate a name for you? See, during Enu's time of reign, go ahead.
Well, haven't they already? African Americans?
Yeah, and tell me how that's working out.
Not so good.
It's not working out good. It's not working out. Because it's not identifying and it's mischaracterizing you. When somebody call you by another name. I want you to think about that. When they call you by another name. And this is what they were doing with the Creator. In the midst of their being defiled. Think about that. I want you to think about that. They didn't care. So when they began to be all outlandish, do we really think that the Creator just stood by and allowed that to happen? So there was no warning from the Creator. I want you to really think about that. There was no warning from the Creator. Nothing. There was no warning from the Creator. Nothing. The Creator just allowed all that to take place. He just allowed all that to take place. And while it was taking place, he waited all the way to Noah. He waited to Noah to flood the earth. There was no judgment before that. This is how, when you read the King James, this is what takes place. It's showing you these folks were wicked as hell. But the Creator sat back on his hands saying, nah, I got to wait till Noah comes so I can send a flood for real. Really? Let's go to the 5th chapter of Genesis. Let's go to the 5th chapter of Genesis. We're going to start at verse 1. And this is what it says. This is the book of the generation of Adam in the day that the Creator created man. In the likeness of the Creator made he him. So let's look at that real quick. Let's look at that verse real quick. It says this means hear the book. That word is not even there. That's added. Hear the book. Hear the written order genealogical register. That's what the word this means. The word this means hear. And the word book means the written order or genealogical register. Hear the written order or genealogical or register Of the generation means the descendants, the result, or the account of men and their descendants. Or the descendants or the results of Adam means the first man. Okay? Now, in the day means as a division of time. So as a division of time, that word that means of something new. So when you think about it, he's showing you that a division of time has moved forward and something new has come about. The word God means the ruler, judges, or divine ones. Created means to shape a form or to create. Man meaning what? Human beings or mankind. Meaning they bring in specific ones of humans in power. In the likeness. In the likeness means the what? The similitude or pattern of God, meaning he made man to be godlike. He did not make man to be like man. He made you to be like him. We're supposed to move, think, and be like him. Our pattern is supposed to be reflecting the Creator. Made he, meaning to produce or to prepare. Him. You were supposed to be a God-like one to produce or to prepare. You're supposed to produce and be prepared. That's what, because you don't supposed to be, you're not here unequipped. But we become unequipped is because we done got out of the pattern of self. We're no longer moving according to self. Shalom, shalom, Moray. Shalom, shalom. We're no longer moving according to self. And that's why we have to realize what verse 1 of chapter 5 is saying. He produced us to pattern him. But we was knocked out of that pattern. And that's why when we afflict ourselves, we are afflicting ourselves according to our desires, not according to the will of the Creator. So when we afflict ourselves according to our desires, that's the reason why, if you go back to chapter 4, verse 26, what happened? They designated a name. They designated a reputation or a memorial for the Creator. That's why in the book of Jasher, let's go to the book of Jasher real quick. Let's go back there real quick. The book of Jasher, the 2nd chapter. That's why in the book of Jasher, the 2nd chapter, that's why if I go to let's go to start at verse 3, chapter 2, verse 3. I'm going to read chapter 2, verse 3. And that's why it says, and it was in the days of Enos. See, Enos is Seth's son. The sons of men were Cain's lineage. Continued to rebel and transgress against the Creator. What were they doing? they increased it. They to increase the anger of the Creator against the sons of men. What they were doing increased the Creator's anger against them. It's like they didn't care. Like when that song say, "Am I free? Free from falling." They just was doing everything they wanted to do. Anything they wanted to do. We talk about Cain's lineage. Remember, Cain's lineage were banished. And they got mixed up with the fallen. So verse 4 says, and the sons of men went and they serve other gods. Where did those gods come from? It came from the fallen, the serpent seed. The serpent god. They begin to follow the serpent god. And they forgot the Creator who had created them in the earth. When Cain got banished, he just forgot about everything. They just turned back totally against the Creator. And in those days, the sons of men made the images of brass and iron, wood, stone, and they bowed down and served them. If you go back to chapter 4, who was the architect of metal crafting? Tubal-Cain. Tubal-Cain. He knew how to carve on metal crafting. He made furniture out of metal, utensils out of metal. Read it for yourself. He was a master craftsman. So who you think was creating these things? Cain's lineage. And notice what it says in verse 5. It says, and every man made his God, and they bowed down to them. Every man. It didn't exclude Seth's lineage. It says every man. But now watch this. And the sons of men forsook the Creator all the days of Enos and his children. Was Seth's lineage doing some wickedness? Yes, they were. But they never forsook the Creator. Cain's lineage did. They didn't see the need for the Creator. That's why I say it's getting interesting. And the anger of the Creator was what? Kindled on the account of their works and abomination which they did in the earth. See, the Creator wasn't just mad at Cain's lineage. The Creator started being angry at Seth's lineage as well. But Seth's lineage did not forsake or forsook the Creator, even though they was doing wickedness. And watch what verse 6 says. And the Creator caused water, the waters of the river of the Gihon, to overwhelm them. So the Gihon River came on land. He destroyed and consumed them, and he destroyed the third parts of the earth. And notwithstanding this, the sons of men, Cain's lineage, did not turn from their evil ways. It did not stop. What that song say? And the beat goes on. See, they just kept going. They just kept going. They didn't care about that little small flood.
That they didn't care about anything dealing with the Creator as long as they were doing what they wanted to do.
Correct. They didn't care nothing about.
It's almost like,
Go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, it's almost like, you saw the hand of the Creator with the flood, but that didn't even deter you from even thinking about doing right. You continue to do wickedness.
Correct. But see, here's the thing though. A lot of times when we see the judgment of the Creator, a lot of times we can't turn away from wickedness is because of Sometimes our seed had not been mixed too far. And now you have two competing genealogies in one person. That's why we were supposed to be careful at who we mix with. Let's keep going. Let's jump down to verse 7 in the book of Jasher. It says, in those days, there were neither sowing nor reaping in the earth. And there was no food for the sons of men, and the famine was very great in those days. Hold on. Was it a famine? Where did that famine come from? It came from the garden. I told y'all in one previous lesson that when Adam and Eve did not get put out of the garden, he created a famine. The Creator caused a famine, and that's why Adam had to go outside. He had to fight. He had to fight outside of the garden. And that's why they took pride into what they brought forth from the earth, because it was what you call it, the earth was at that time being stubborn of allowing them to do what? Bring forth anything. It was a famine. So it says, but Cain's lineage was catching it like it wasn't nothing. And the famine was very great in those days. Verse 8, and the seed which they sowed in those days in the ground became thorns and thistles and briars. Did not the Bible tell Adam that when you put seeds in the ground, that is it gonna be thorns and thistles? Yes. Where do you think that came from? It came from outside of the garden, in the garden. That type of ground came from out of the garden into the enclosure. For from the days of Adam was this declaration concerning the earth. This is the curse of Adam. He brought a famine. I don't. And one brother told me he didn't cause a famine. He caused a famine. If you can read, where do you think thorns and thistles and briars come from? A famine. Then it says, of the curse of the Creator, which he cursed the earth on account of the sin which Adam sinned before the Creator. The earth was cursed. The earth was cursed. And you got to remember, your body came from the earth. So I'm going to let that sit right there and hang up in the air and see if anybody catch that. Verse 9. And it was when men continued to what? Rebel and transgress against the Creator. Men. That's Adam and Eve. That's Seth, and that's Cain's lineage. Men. And to corrupt their ways, that the earth also became what? Corrupt. I just told you, your body came from the earth. I want to hang that up in the air too. Put that on the clothesline. See if somebody can put that down, pull that down and wear it. See, man became so corrupt that it corrupted the earth. So what was going on? What caused the earth to be corrupted? Verse 10. Excuse me. And Enos lived 90 years and he begat Cainan. Some people call that Cain, but that's not Cain. It's Cainan. He begat Cainan. So now Enos is now raising up the next patriarch leader, which is a judge or a prophet. Okay? Let's go back to Genesis. We're in the 5th chapter of Genesis. And we see in the 5th chapter of Genesis, verse 1, is going over the lineage of Seth. And the lineage of Seth is supposed to pattern itself after the Creator. This was supposed to happen. Verse 2 says what? Let's go to verse 2 of Genesis. Let me read it out. Male and female created he them and blessed them and called their name Adam in the day when they were created. Let's break this down. Male means humans, of human. Male. Female is the same thing, of the humans. Created he them means he shaped and fashioned them. What it means to shape and fashion them, they means they didn't have shape. Yeah, they did have shape, meaning he given them purpose and he given them vision. He's given them a direction. That's what shape and fashion means. And it says, and he blessed them means to kneel. Now, hold on. The Creator kneeled to you. Now, I'm going to let that sink in right there. Why did the Creator kneel to man? Why? I'm listening. Go ahead.
He did that because he wanted man to have some type of chance, but man took advantage of that because they kept doing their evil deeds.
No.
So it's almost like a slap in the face.
He's kneeling to you when he created you. He kneeled to you. Why did the Creator kneel to man? The reason why the Creator kneeled to man is because he created you in your own kingdom. He was humble enough to kneel to you to let you know you have the authority. I'm gonna put that on the clothes hanger. Let that see if anybody can pull that off the hanger and wear it. The Creator kneeled to man because you were in your own abode. He created this for you. This was you. This was your kingdom. He ruled it. He controlled it. He created it. We understand that. But this belongs to you. When he knelt, he showed respect. That's the same way, like if your son gets up in age or your child gets up in age and began to get their own place, you do not bring your rules to their house because you gave them the rules to live by. So when you go to their house, you respect their abode, even though you gave them life. I'm going to put that on the clothesline and let that hang. I'm going to see who can pull that off the clothesline and wear it. That's what the word to and bless. He kneeled to you. He kneeled. And the word them, he kneeled to Adam and Eve. He kneeled to male and female. And the word call means to what? Utter a loud sound. Their name, meaning the reputation of them. What was the reputation of man? They are like in pattern after me. The Creator just didn't keep this to himself. He uttered this across the earth to let everything know that man that he created is like him. And everything must respect it. He just didn't give you the authority. Told you the authority. He gave it to you and allowed everything that was created. Let him see that that the authority belongs to you. The reputation of mankind in the day, meaning a division of time, when they were created, means shape, fashion, or form. He allowed you to know these things. that you can't get mad. Something that he purposely gave you to rule, you lose. You can't get mad. Because a lot of times we threw everything, we threw it away. We threw it away. So verse 3 says what? Of the 5th chapter. And Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness, and after his image, he called his name Seth. Now see, notice Adam is doing the same thing the Creator did. And that word "and" in the 3rd verse means to continue in life, remain alive. Adam, meaning mankind, a human being, the first man. Mankind, meaning the first woman. That's Adam. Lived means to what? Prosperly. They lived prosperly. 100, that literally means 130. That's the actual 30 years. That's the indication of age. And he begat means to bring forth a son. That means of a certain seed line, gene line. In his own likeness. Now watch this. The word likeness means similitude, meaning the quality or state of being similar to something. So this was talking about rulership. Seth became a ruler like the Creator. That's what the compensation was about. That gave that nation hope. Seeing that Adam allowed Seth to be raised in the purpose and the program of the Creator. Because Adam fell. Now, does that mean that something else raised Adam? I mean, Seth? No, Adam did. Adam gave Seth what Adam was supposed to have been doing. That's his own likeness. Rulership. After his image. Of resemblance, meaning the state of resembling or being like. Adam raised Seth in the law. Adam raised Seth in the law to reflect the Creator. And called means to proclaim, meaning to announce officially or publicly. He announced his name, his reputation, or his fame. Seth means compensation, meaning the Creator has given us another opportunity. He's compensating us through the death of Abel. Verse 4. Genesis 5 and 4. And the days of Adam after he had what? Begotten Seth were 800 years, and he begot sons and daughter. Now look at what it's saying. Seth begot sons and daughters. So Seth had more than one child. Seth had more than one child. Some people say, oh no, see, that's Adam's children. Let's keep reading. Because verse 4, this verse is showing that Adam had Seth, who was his compensation for what happened to Abel. But notice Seth had sons and daughters. Why was not all his children mentioned? No, why was all his children mentioned? Excuse me. Why the Bible say he had sons and daughters? Because it was letting you know that it was letting you know the bloodline of the leadership. Prove my point. Let's go. Let's go to verse 5. And all the days of Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. Why is it telling you the death of Adam? Because this verse shows that Adam, not just his reign, but his breath came to an end. So when Adam's breath came to an end, who took the place of Adam? Seth. Who took the place of Adam before his breath left his body? Seth. He was the next leader. He was the next leader. Because the next leader that was supposed to have came before Seth was Abel. Verse 6. And Seth lived 105 years and begot Enos. That's where we're at in the book of Jasher. We're in the time of Enos, because that's Genesis, the fourth chapter, verse 26. In the days of Enos, everything became polluted. So verse 6, this verse shows Seth is now bringing forth the next leadership after him. He's bringing forth the next leadership after him. Enos means man. This is because Enos was the one that brought man back in focus with the law of the Creator and brought a difference between Adam, meaning Seth, and Cain line. He was bringing a difference between them two. Man and the Son of Man. He was making a difference between the two. During Enos' time, they were wicked as I don't know what. Verse 7. Go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say, I know we haven't gotten to Noah yet, but just like they were wicked during Enos' time, they were wicked during Noah's time. So it's like nothing has changed. It's like, is it just the fact that that spirit that's within them was just so evil and so diabolical that nothing would even make them consider turning their face back towards the Most High?
Well, no, nothing would do that, because they're mixed. They're mixed with a rim that they didn't supposed to even mix with. So you got two competing genes going against itself within itself.
So that's a tug of war right there.
That's a tug of war. That's why the Bible always told us we're supposed to be careful at who we mix with. But because we look at people, females look at the men and say, ooh, he's fine, he's cute. Ooh, look at the muscles. I want to have his baby. Then you go and have his baby and you find out that that's not your seed. That's not of you. Same thing with a man. Boy, she fine. Boy, she got a trunk behind her. Boy, woo, womp, 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 womp. Sound like a truck, right? Woo. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, you go impregnate her and you find out she's wicked. And now you're wondering what you're supposed to do. How are you supposed to do it? So let's look at verse 7. During Enos' time, Enos was the next leader after Seth. Enos means man. He was supposed to, he brought the difference between Cain's seed and Seth's seed. He's bringing a clear distinction of a separation, because there were two types of man on the earth at that time. It was really three, but let's talk about the two. Cain's seed, which was man, that came from Adam, and Seth's seed, which came from Adam. But one seed was mixed and the other seed was supposed to be pure. verse 7. And Seth lived after he begat Enos 870 years and begat sons and daughters. So it's telling you Enos got sons and daughters now. This is what verse 7 was talking about. This is why it shows that Seth died and brought forth Enos, who was the next leader of that nation. See? It's showing you the leadership. The leadership. The first one was the compensation for the loss. Go ahead.
Okay, so Seth was the compensation for the law. But it looks like he only lived, according to the Bible, he only lived 105 years.
Okay.
But his son lived 807 years.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't know. I guess.
Well,
I mean,
let's say it like this. Let's say if the number was too high, or let's just take the number. Let's say the number is exact. Okay. Why you think he lived that long? Why you think he lived longer than his father?
I was thinking about that. I'm like, is that almost like a blessing or a curse to it?
You always got to think about purpose.
So if he fulfilled his purpose, then why did he need to be here any longer?
Well, there you go. Because see, Seth fulfilled his purpose for being the compensation for Adam.
Okay.
That was Seth's purpose.
Oh, for Abel.
Now, Enos' purpose was to bring separation between man and the Son of Man.
So that took longer. I mean, I'm just.
That possibly did take longer. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, I didn't look at it like that. Okay.
Okay. Now, what verse 8 says? Verse 8 says this. And all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. That's what verse 8 says. This shows you how long Seth lived before he passed. Verse 9 says, and Enos lived 90 years and begot Cain. This verse 9. So verse 9 shows you this verse shows Enos lived a certain time and passed on and brought forth Cain, his son, which means possession. Under Cain rule, the state of having, owning, and controlling something. Okay? Under his rule, this would happen. Let's jump over to Deuteronomy 14:2. Let's jump over there real quick. This Deuteronomy 14:2. And it says right here, for thou art a holy people unto the Creator, and the Creator has chosen thee to be a what? Particular people unto himself, above all nations that are upon the earth. You think this law was just only for Israel? This law was before Israel. I'm going to prove my point. Let's go to Jasher, the 2nd chapter. Let's go back to Jasher, the 2nd chapter. Let's go back to that. All right. Now, let's jump down to verse 10. 2nd chapter. Let's go to Jasher, the 2nd chapter, verse 10. And this is what it reads. And Enos lived 90 years and he begot Cain. And Cainan grew up and he was 40 years old. And he became wise and had what? Knowledge and skills in all wisdom. And he reigned over all the sons of men. Hold on, stop. Enos was to bring separation. Cain's job was to what? Reign over them. I'm going to put that on a clothes hanger and see who can pull that down and wear it. And he led the sons of men to wisdom and knowledge. And Kaianon was a very wise man and had understanding in all wisdom. And with his wisdom, he ruled over spirits and demons. I'm going to put that on the clothesline and let that hang and see who can pull that down. This man was powerful. That's why his name meant possession. When the Creator told man to rule, to be fruitful, multiply, replenish, and subdue, this is now taking place. Verse 12, and Kaianon knew by his wisdom that the Creator would destroy the sons of men for having sin upon the earth, meaning they mixed. He knew this. See, every leadership that came from Seth brought forth judgment. That's why the 5th chapter of Genesis named particular men. He knew that the Creator was going to literally bring forth judgment to destroy Cain's lineage because of sin that could not be put back in the genie bottle. And that the Creator would in the latter days bring upon them the waters of the flood. Hold on, stop. The water of the flood just happened. So you mean to tell me he's prophesying this again? From Enu's son, Kaianon? So what happened? Verse 13, and in those days Kaianon wrote upon tablets of stone what was to take place in the times to come. That means after him. He's now prophesying. He's writing on tablets of what's coming. So that small flood during Enu's time already happened, and it did not deter Cain's lineage. So when he subdued everything, what took place? What was taking place? He knew at a certain point in time he couldn't hold that thing all together. So he wrote on a tablet of the judgment that's coming. And it says, and he put them in his treasures. Meaning you got to come through him to be able to see that judgment. Otherwise, you're going to miss out. And that judgment going to catch you off guard. So those who want it to be subdued will, if they bow, yield, and come humbly to learn Torah from Kaianon. But if they didn't, they stay on the outside to be able to what? Be destroyed by not knowing what's coming. Verse 14, and Kaianon reigned over the whole earth. He reigned over the whole earth. That's what his name means, possession. So man won't have no saying, oh, we was not warned. Oh, we didn't have an opportunity. Oh, this was by surprise. Oh, no. The Creator allowed Kaianon to rule, to give those spirits and demons. And now notice what it says. He ruled over spirits and demons. So now what did Cain mix with? What Cain lineage mixed with? When y'all say that there's no such thing as fallen angels. Spirits and demons are bodiless men. What made them bodiless? They don't belong to this realm. But they take form, they shapeshift into you. I showed y'all that last week from the last class, from those movies they've been putting out. They sit, stand, and walk right among you. And some of you have sex with them because they form themselves to look like you. But Kayana knew what was taking place. He reigned over the whole earth, and he turned some of the sons of men to the service of the Creator. He didn't turn all of them. That's just like what we say, oh, white people are the devil. But guess what? Some white people will listen, and some white folks won't. Just the same way as some Negroes will listen, and a lot of Negroes won't. Same thing. He turned some of Cain's lineage back to the service of the Creator. In verse 15, and when Kayana was 70 years old, he begat these sons and daughters, and 2 daughters. He had 2 daughters. And verse 16 says, and these are the name of the children of Kayana. The name of the firstborn was Mahaliel. The second one was Enon. And the third, Mered. And their sisters were Adah and Zillah. That's what they say. These were the 5 children of Kayana. These were born to him. See? Now, this closet tablet killing me. Let's jump back over. Let's jump back over to Genesis. We about done. Let's jump back over to Genesis, the 5th chapter. Kayana ruled the whole earth. That's why his name was called Possession. Possession. We'll pick up at verse 10. Genesis, the 5th chapter, verse 10. And Enos lived after he begat Kainan 850 years. Some people say, see, that was way more than with the book of Joshua. See, that will make it. No, look, numbers don't cross. It don't screw me up with the information. So I don't get caught with how long they live. I get caught up with the information. 800 years, 807 years, and begat sons and daughters. And verse 8 says, and in those days Seth were 912 years, and he died. And Enos lived, verse 9, and Enos lived 90 years and begat Kainan. Verse 10, and Enos lived after he begat Kainan 850 years and begat sons and daughters. In verse 11, and in the days of Enos were 905 years, and he died. So now verse 10 is telling you, so this verse is talking about Enos bringing forth Kainan to bring the nation back into being a possession for the Creator, and shows the lineage extending with sons and daughters. So he brought back the law physically. I just showed you that in the book of Jasher. Verse 11, and all the days of Enos lived 905 years, and he died. What verse 11 shows? This verse shows that Enos' reign came to an end and moved on. His reign came to an end and moved on. Everything comes to an end. Okay? Everything comes to an end. Verse 12. Verse 12 says, and Canaan lived after, and Kainan lived after he begat Mahaliel 840 years and begat sons and daughters. Now notice this. Verse 12 says, during Kaiana, he produced a son, the next ruler, whose name was Mahaliel, which means praise of the Creator. This was the era when the nation began to praise the Creator. See, he just didn't control just didn't come, but now worship is now coming across the earth. But notice what during Kaiana's time, he only a few of Cain's lineage turned back to the service of the Creator. The majority of his lineage did not. So now Mahaliel is bringing forth what? The praise of the Creator. We're gonna touch on this next week in the Creator's will. It's gonna be Friday night because Saturday we're supposed to have that conference. So those who are in, pay attention for next week. And we're gonna also have IFC tomorrow morning at 10:30. They're gonna be on the podcast tomorrow live. 10:30. IFC tomorrow at 10:30 live. Next Saturday, we're going to have a panel of different brothers and sisters on why marriage is dead in our community. So if you can, next week on the Shabbat between 12 and 2. Please join us. Also be looking for some projects that we're getting ready to drop. In the coming up months, we're going to also have our first sponsored commercial. So be looking forward for that as well. We're trying to move things forward. We're trying to do things according to the will of the Creator. But we're going to close it out right here at verse 12. During Kaiana, he produced the son, the next ruler, whose name was Mahaliel, which means praise of the Creator. This was the era when the nation began to praise the Creator. I want y'all to remember that. So I'll see you on the next Shabbat, Friday night. Creator's will. If anything changes, you is fine. You will get notice. So may the Creator continue to protect you, and may the rest of your Shabbat be peaceful, restful, and relaxful. This is my Shabbat. Now, if this ain't your Shabbat, hey, thank you for joining me. But if it is your Shabbat, shalom, shalom, happy Shabbat. And remember, press that like button. Help the algorithm, help this video and this channel go through the YouTube algorithm so others can know and understand. And come and check out the information, okay? Peace. Shalom. All praises, Moray. All praises. Thank you. Thank you. Toda Rabbah.